So finally took the Niro for a long car ride. It's 300 miles each way, so it's just beyond the range of the car. So I had to stop at least one. Now I knew when I bought the car that kind of the long distance travel was not really the Niro's strong suit. I mean, like definitely Tesla has, they excelled at that particular feature of the car, by setting up a network of charging stations and all that stuff. And then the other nice thing is that they can use other charging stations. I don't know if they can use DC fast chargers, but they can definitely have an adapter and all that. But they don't allow non-Tesla cars to charge at DC at their fast charging stations. So I never really intended to use this car for long distance travel, but I thought it'd be fun to at least try it. And actually, I was pleasantly surprised overall. So I had to make one stop on the way there, and then on the way back, I had to also make a stop. So going from approximately the Detroit metro area up to Traverse City, just outside of Traverse City. So for me, like I said, it's almost exactly 300 miles. I made the first stop in Clare, Michigan. There was a DC, it's a ChargePoint just on the north side of town. I partially chose the stations depending on what was around them, because I knew we were gonna have to be there at least a half an hour. So the first one, we checked out the Farm and Home, which is kind of like a Tractor Supply, and then went to the Taco Bell right next door and got some food and ended up charging for about 40 minutes. All right, using the fast charger. Oh, there you go. It took a second. It was actually longer than I intended to charge for, but that's how long it took, just to do whatever we were doing. And so it was actually kind of nice. We saw an Amish buggy that was parked out front, kind of shopped around the Farm and Home a little bit, and then headed out. The car made it with no problems. So on my way up to Clare, I think it was estimating around 80 miles of range. By the time I got there, so from when I left to when I was getting to my destination, based on the range indicated, I was expecting to have around 80 miles of range left over. And that's approximately what I had. I think I had closer to 90 actually. It started going a little faster, though I did go through a lot of slower sections, traveling closer to the 55 to 60 mile an hour range, because there was a bunch of construction and traffic. And so it was sending me on side roads. So I didn't take the most direct route. And then when I went from Clare to my destination, Traverse City, my in-laws, again, I think I was expecting to I only had a partial charge, but I had more than enough to get there. And it was approximately correct about what it was estimating to what I had left over when I got there. Now, one thing that became an issue while I was there was that I had previously looked at what plug was available to plug in. So for my level 2 charger, I underestimated the number of different variations of 240 volt plugs. There's probably at least 8, maybe more. And so when I looked at it, I thought it was one type, but it actually turned out to be a different type. So I actually spent most of the first day, I won't say most of the first day, but I spent a significant time the first day trying to find the right plug and adapter, and I ended up having to make my own. Thought I had the right adapter, then I went and got another adapter that I thought was right, but this post was round and it was an L, and I needed an L-shaped one. This is a dryer plug, and I could use either this or a 4-post, would have been fine. But I didn't have anything to go from this to that. So I ended up making one using a dryer plug and this here, getting a outlet and then a box, basically make almost like an extension cord. So that will allow me to plug my car in at my in-laws. And I just left it up there, so now I have it whenever I go up. So it's not going to be a problem again. But one thing when these trips, you know, it's good to check out what's available. I was able to charge, no problem. It's a 30 amp breaker, so I was able to change the power setting on my cord down to 24 amps. Had no problem charging from, I think it was like almost 40 or 50 miles of range after all the driving around and stuff that I've done to get it back up to pretty much full. All right, to give you an idea of what I'm dealing with, this is the old farmhouse. Yeah, it's ancient, but it's a 30 amp. They have a dryer. This is he brags. So plugged in, I got to adjust the power here, not to 32 amps. 10, 16, 20, 24, 32. So I'm going to go to 24. That way it doesn't trip the breaker. There it is. Now I can plug the car in. And this is where I'm parked. The old farmstead. It's quite a beautiful day right now. Got the old and the new. And then I used the car all weekend. Probably cost my in-laws, you know, between $10 to $20 for me to charge. And then on the trip back, I stopped in Lansing at a Meijer. It was again as a ChargePoint station. It's funny. It seems like this is a little bit further off than what's initially. Yeah, see, this is dropping as this goes up. I think I'll max out around 60 something. Yeah, 64, I think, kilowatts. So it'll take me about an hour to fully charge. Stop charging. Oops, I think tapping on the thing. Yeah, so about 45 minutes I'd have this thing fully charged. All right, I'm gonna go shopping at the Meijer nearby, get some groceries, so when we get home we'll have some food. And it was perfect. It was about an hour and a half-ish from my house. We stopped, we picked up groceries and some snacks for the road, and then continued on, again stopping for about 40 minutes, which wasn't a problem because again, like, we were doing stuff. Now I could imagine if you're more just focused on the trip and you don't really want to stop for very long, that could be a little bit annoying because, you know, I'm not getting 100% charge each time. I'm not sure how that would work out. You know, if I was trying a longer trip, I'd probably have to charge it a little bit longer. Overall, each stop cost me about $11 to $12.50, and so total I spent out of pocket was $24. On my leg between Traverse and Lansing, I did use significantly more range than was initially projected. So I was expecting to get there with like between 60 to 70 miles of range. I ended up getting there with. So my return trip got to the charging station with only 41 miles of range. I was projected initially to have about 60, but it is 88 degrees out here. Is hitting 91 earlier. So we definitely had the air conditioning going the entire time. And the speed limit in some areas was 75. So I think that adversely affected the range in this particular stretch. So it was, definitely a good test for the car and the range. Overall, I'm happy with it. I think next week we're going to be taking a trip down to Chattanooga. That'll require 3 stops to charge, and I'll have to get nearly 100% charge at each stop. So I'm expecting I'll have to charge at least 45 minutes at each stop, maybe closer to an hour, depending. Those ones I'll be using Electrify America stations mostly, because it seems that's what's most available in that route. So there's some pluses and minuses there. It does seem like those stations have more plugs available, so I'm less concerned about getting the availability, but just a big unknown in general as far as how it's going to work. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier was that when I stopped in Clare, another car had started charging with me, and then it seemed like when they plugged in the other car, it actually reduced the charging speed of the charger I was on, which for me was okay because I was almost done already. But I was thinking, like, if I had just started charging and I was at that reduced rate, it would take me at least twice as long to charge, and that would have been really inconvenient. So I don't know if that was just a ChargePoint thing, if it was just because of the gas station that we're at or the actual location, or what. A little disconcerting there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, in the future. Overall, I think, for the inconvenience of having to stop, it's not the end of the world. Just given, just the electric nature of the car, I kind of, all the other benefits, it's nice. Okay, it takes a little longer for trips to get down somewhere, but, if that's what it takes, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's kind of nice to kind of relax a little bit, get a little bit extra time to kind of stop and stretch your legs, especially with the kids, and, do maybe a little window shopping. I think it would be really great if some of these small towns, what if they invested in like charging stations on their main street? You can come in maybe for free or really reduced rate if you have to be there for half an hour, but then you can window shop. Perhaps it would be good for the town. They could set up some solar panels and maybe some some batteries so that it's always available to charge. It might be a really good strategy for these little towns to kind of reinvigorate themselves. I don't know how, there's a lot of variables there if that's really feasible, because maybe charging is going to get a lot faster, so it's not really going to be as much of an advantage. But if you have a half an hour charge and you might as well kill it, walking around a little town and do some window shopping, maybe buy a few things, might be worth it. And it'd be kind of nice to get people out of the grind, enjoy life a little bit more, slow down a little bit, take a little bit more time on the trips. It's not a race necessarily, it's a journey. So I'm trying to see the electric car, at least the Niro specifically, in that kind of a light. Like, take the opportunity to relax a little bit, enjoy life. I mean, like right now I have a beautiful sunset. This is what life's about, not not getting necessarily to the destination. There's birthday party. He's checking out the sunset too, I think. Or he's looking at bunnies. I don't know. He likes bunnies too. Likes to eat them. I don't know. So if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more about the Niro. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Stay tuned, and I'll tell you what it's like driving down to Chattanooga. All right. Take care. Bye.